Welcome back to a new episode of the Animal Odyssey. Today we descend into the eerie stillness of the deep blue, where sunlight fades and shadows twist in slow motion. But hidden in this twilight world is a creature so flamboyant, so outrageously alien, it looks like it's starring in its own underwater fashion show. This is the Blanket Octopus, a floating veil of mystery, elegance, and deadly design. But the deeper you look, the weirder it gets. Its story stretches across bizarre biology, epic survival, and nature's most dramatic costume reveal. Picture a creature gliding through the ocean with a billowing cape that flows like silk and gleams with color. This isn't science fiction. It's the Blanket Octopus, and she's dressed to stun, literally. The Blanket Octopus gets its name from the dramatic webbing that stretches between its arms. These membranes trail behind like a living parachute, and when fully unfurled, it looks like a cloak made from liquid rainbow. These capes are more than accessories. They are fully integrated defense tools. The webbing not only makes the animal look larger to scare off attackers, but it also flickers in shifting colors thanks to chromatophores, specialized skin cells that change pigment on command. The cape is so thin and delicate, it appears almost transparent under certain light, giving it a ghost-like shimmer. This illusion plays a vital role when predators are near, making it difficult to distinguish the body from the backdrop. And when the threat escalates, the Blanket Octopus doesn't just flee. She crafts a dazzling spectacle of confusion and color. She can curl the blanket around herself, twist suddenly, and vanish behind a shed piece of fabric, almost like a magician disappearing behind a velvet curtain. It's the most stylish vanishing act in the sea, and her predators rarely get a second chance. In the ocean's grand hall of bizarre adaptations, the Blanket Octopus holds the crown for gender inequality. While the female floats in with elegance at over 2 meters long, the male barely reaches 2 centimeters. That's not a typo. A human-sized female would be dating a partner the size of a tic-tac. This is one of the most extreme examples of sexual dimorphism on the planet, and it goes beyond just size. The male Blanket Octopus is also structurally simpler. He lacks the elaborate cape, the strength, and even some sensory complexity found in females. His tiny body is optimized for one-purpose reproduction. Carrying his sperm-loaded arm like a ticking time bomb, the male has no intention of living past his mission. But here's where it gets even stranger. The detached arm not only fertilizes the female, but can remain alive and mobile for several hours inside her mantle cavity, continuing to function on its own. Scientists believe this detached reproductive arm may contain chemical cues that ensure fertilization is successful and perhaps even ward off rival males. Despite his miniature frame, the male's sacrifice is enormous. He spends his entire life preparing for a single encounter that may last mere seconds, then drifts into the abyss, unseen and forgotten. While the blanket is impressive, it's not just about beauty. It's about defense. The female can detach portions of her cape in a flash, using the fragments like underwater flares to distract and confuse any predators. But here's where things get truly diabolical. Juvenile Blanket Octopuses and males are known to steal tentacles from one of the ocean's most dangerous drifters, the Portuguese man-o-war. These jellyfish-like creatures deliver stings so painful they've been nicknamed the floating terror. The Blanket Octopus grabs their venomous tentacles, rips them off, and wields them like whips. Think of it as the marine version of grabbing a live taser to fight off bullies. Not only do they hold these tentacles, but they also manipulate them with surprising precision, using specialized arm motions to flick, strike, or display the tentacles depending on the threat level. Researchers have even observed them testing tentacle potency before using them, perhaps detecting the remaining toxicity through chemical receptors on their suckers. If the tentacle is too degraded, they discard it like a dull sword and look for another. This isn't random behavior. It's intentional weapon selection, something almost never seen in invertebrates. And yes, they can even pass down the skill. Juveniles show these behaviors early, indicating a genetic instinct for combat tool use, putting them on the same tactical level as certain birds and primates. You know, unlike many octopuses that lurk in rocky crevices or sandy burrows, the blanket octopus actually calls the wide-open ocean its home. That means, well, no walls, no hiding spots, and, no backup. To survive this exposed lifestyle, the blanket octopus relies on a few key strategies. First, its body is perfectly adapted for drift. It's light, buoyant, and fluid, moving with the currents like a ghost riding the sea breeze. Second, its incredible cape helps it blend into the watery shadows. This fabric-like membrane breaks up its outline, making it hard for predators to detect it. And third, its entire being is built on illusion and evasion. With color-shifting skin, detachable limbs, venom weapons, and, graceful unpredictability, it has turned survival into performance art. But there's another weapon: invisibility through motion. The blanket octopus swims with extremely slow, undulating movements. This limits water disturbance, which is key. Many predators detect vibrations rather than sight. It also has the ability to tolerate extreme pressure changes as it drifts vertically in the ocean, which is, pretty rare for soft-bodied animals. This lets it follow prey or currents to ideal hunting grounds, hundreds of meters below the surface. Even with its eye-catching appearance, it remains one of the best hidden nomads of the open sea, surviving not through brute strength, but through elegance, subtlety, and otherworldly adaptation. Despite being found in tropical and subtropical oceans around the globe, blanket octopuses are rarely seen by humans. That's because they live far from shore, in the mid-water zone. Not at the surface, not at the bottom, but floating in between. Only recently have scientists and deep-sea explorers captured these creatures on camera. And when they do, the reaction is always the same: shock, awe, and confusion. This isn't just another octopus. It looks like a fantasy creature, an alien dancer, a gliding flag from an unknown nation. Even more fascinating is that these animals travel huge distances without ever touching the seafloor. They are among the most extreme drifters in the animal kingdom, using oceanic gyres, large circular current systems, to navigate vast areas with minimal effort. They also show signs of light sensitivity tuned to the moon and stars. Some researchers believe they may orient their drifting patterns based on celestial light gradients, making them among the few marine animals with possible night sky awareness. They live on the razor's edge of beauty and danger, rare, fragile, and so perfectly adapted that even with few sightings, they've remained almost unchanged for millions of years. Despite decades of curiosity, the blanket octopus remains a puzzle. Scientists still can't answer some of the most basic questions about its life. How do they find each other in the vast emptiness of the open ocean? What triggers their spectacular cape displays? How do they decide when to shed or use stolen weapons? How many different species are there? We know there are 4 confirmed species in the Tremoctopus genus, but deep-sea DNA sampling hints that several undiscovered cousins may be out there, cloaked in different patterns, drifting in zones we've never explored. And what about their intelligence? Octopuses are already known to be brainy, but blanket octopuses may be even more specialized. Some experts believe their nervous system prioritizes autonomous limb behavior, where each arm acts semi-independently, almost like limbs with their own thoughts. Understanding them could not only unlock the secrets of deep-sea evolution, it might challenge everything we know about alien intelligence right here on Earth. The blanket octopus is more than an ocean oddity. It's a masterpiece of adaptation, a sculptor of illusions, and a warrior wrapped in silk. In a world where visibility often means strength, the blanket octopus wins by being elusive, by turning fragility into ferocity, and by dancing through danger with hypnotic calm. Its legacy is one of mystery, not because it hides, but because it floats boldly into the unknown, uncaring whether we understand it or not. What it teaches us is even deeper. Nature doesn't need symmetry or balance to thrive. Sometimes beauty is asymmetric. Sometimes power is delicate. And sometimes the most fearsome creatures don't roar. They shimmer. The blanket octopus reminds us that the ocean is still full of legends, living ones, flowing ones. And if you're lucky enough to see one, you'll never forget it. On the next episode of the Animal Odyssey, we'll hunt with a creature born of sand and venom, one that waits in silence, stings in a flash, and survives in places where even shadows vanish, and wears armor like a living tank. Subscribe, tap the bell, and get ready for a journey into nature's weirdest weapons, because things are about to get very interesting.